Alright guys, here are the first four problems, or yeah, the top four problems for the homework. Okay, so solve each equation, and I want you guys to keep in radical form. Alright, so we've got our a value, so if this is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, a does not include the x value, it includes the number in front of your x squared. So a in this situation would be 1, your b would be 4, and your c would be 3. So we're going to use our quadratic formula, which is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Alright, so I've got negative b, which is 4, plus or minus the square root of b squared, 4 squared, minus 4a, which is 1, c, which is 3, all over 2a, which is 1. It's my x equals. Then you basically just plug that in your calculator, and you get 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 3. So I'm going to get negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 4 all over 2. The square root of 4 we know is, if you don't know, you should know, but it's 2. So we're going to get negative 4 plus 2 divided by 2, and negative 4 minus 2 divided by 2. Negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. Divided by 2 is negative 1. Negative 4 minus 2 is negative 6. Divided by 2 is negative 3. So my answer is negative 3, 0, and negative 1, 0. Alright? Or, and if you were to plug that formula into your y equals, you would see x squared plus 4x plus 3. Your y-intercepts, or your x-intercepts, are going to be at negative 3 and negative 1, just like you found. Alright, let's look at number 2. We're going to plug it into our quadratic formula. My a value is 2, my b value is negative 3, my c value is 1. So I'm going to get x equals negative of a negative is going to be a positive, so 3 plus or minus the square root b squared, which would be negative 3 squared, which is 9. Please be careful when we plug that into your calculator. Minus, that's positive 9, 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is 1. All over 2 times 2. So that's going to equal 9 minus 4 times 2 times 1, the square root of 1. So I get 3 plus or minus the square root of 1 all over 2 times 2 is 4. The square root of 1 is 1, and if you need to know, you can plug that in your calculator. So we get 3 plus or minus 1 all over 4. We're going to break that into 2. 3 plus 1 divided by 4. 3 minus 1 divided by 4. I get 4 over 4, which equals 1. Or 3 minus 1, which is 2 over 4, or 1/2. So my answers are 1, 0, or 1/2, 0. Alright. Now, let's do numbers 6 and 7. We use the same exact stuff, it's just that we got a little more numbers. So my A value is 2, my B value is 4, my C value is 7. So I've got negative 4, which is my B, plus or minus x equals the square root of B squared, 4 squared, minus 4 times A times C, all over 2 times your A, which is 2. So, I'm going to go here. Negative 4 plus or minus, what do I get when I plug this in? 4 squared minus 4 times 2 times 7. Now I'm going to get the square root of negative 40 divided by 4. And negative 40 means no solution. So up here I'm going to write no solution. And just to check my answer, I'm going to graph it because it's so easy. And I'm going to say, all right, 2x squared plus 4x plus 7, and there you have it. You need a graphing calculator to check your answer, but you do not need a graphing calculator to do the math, because right here in your notes it states that if you have a negative number underneath the radical, there's going to be no solution. All right, next one, we'll use orange. We have a negative A. So I've got to multiply by negative 1 to get rid of that negative A. And when I multiply that out, I'm going to change all my signs. So I'm going to have 3x squared minus 6x minus 5 equals 0. So my A is going to be positive, which we like, must be positive. But my B is negative and my C is negative. That's okay. Alright, so when I plug that into my quadratic equation, I'm trying to see, there we go, quadratic formula, I get my negative B. So a negative of a negative is a positive, so it's positive 6 plus or minus the square root of negative 6 squared, which is positive 36, minus 4 times 3 times negative 5, all over 2 times 3. So what do we get here? 6 plus or minus the square root, what's in my discriminant, what is underneath my radical. So I'm going to plug in 36 minus 4 times 3 times negative 5. And I get 96. Divided by 6. 2 times 3 is 6. Now, 96 can be simplified. You can't, that is not going to be a multiple choice answer right there. A multiple choice answer would be simplified. So you need to take your 96 and figure out what two numbers multiply to give you 96. Or you can plug in your y equals and say 96 divided by x and go to your table. You've got 6 and 16. 16 is a perfect square, so that sounds like good to me. 16 and 6. So I've got 4 and 4. I can circle my 4s and keep my 6. So then I'm left with 6 plus or minus 4 square root of 6 divided by 6. That is not going to be a multiple choice answer either, because I can reduce this. You can take a greatest common factor of 2 out, or reduce both by 2. So it has to come out of both though. So if I take a greatest common factor of 2 out, I'd be left with 3 plus or minus 2 square root of 6 divided by 6, and then so my answer is 3 plus or minus 2 square root of 6. So this is 2 answers. This is one thing you need to understand. This is 2 answers. One of my answers is 3 plus 2 square root of 6. The other answer is 3 minus 2 square root of 6. If I was going to work that into a decimal form, it would be 3 plus 2 square root of 6. This is 7.9. And this 3 minus 2 square root of 6 would be negative 1.9. So those are 2 totally different answers. Make sure you understand that. Okay, so here is your answer there. Alright. Hopefully that helps to go through. I'll leave that like that a little bit. Hopefully that helps at least get you started. It's a lot of math, but you can do it. The more you do it, the better you get. Have a good luck on your tests.